Hello guys, hello traders, welcome back to the channel, and this is your boy Hassan. We are back with another video, another weekly analysis video. So we are going to be going through the pairs we think might have trading opportunities in the next week, and I'm going to be suggesting some of the trading opportunities you can look out going through the coming week. Today is a Sunday, the 22nd of June 2025. So we are going to go through the analysis and what we expect in the week coming forward. So we shall subscribe to the channel as usual. We are on the road to 300 subscribers. So far we are 200. So you subscribe and be part of the community, be part of the channel, and let us grow together. Okay, I'll give you only 5 seconds. You subscribe and then we go straight to the charts for the weekly analysis. Subscribe guys. Okay, I hope you subscribe. So let's go straight to the analysis. So as usual, we start from the weekly time frame. I was looking at some of these pairs. That's why you see those lines there. Okay. So I'll just remove some of these lines and then we start afresh. So like I did a review yesterday, some of the videos I sent out yesterday, they were about a review about the previous analysis we made for the week. And guys, most of the pairs we were right. However, the manipulations took us out and then the trades continued to play in our favor. So what did we do? We took our losses, we learned, and then we promised to come back stronger. So how have we come back stronger? Simple. We are going to be incorporating the confirmation entries strategy in our trades. This is whereby when the trade hits our area on the high time frame, we go down to the lower time frame for the confirmation entry. Either we want the supply or demand zones to be removed on the lower time frames, or the trend line to be crossed on the lower time frame. That way we shall be getting at least more accurate trades and we avoid those avoidable losses that we have been making. Good. So now, that being put aside, we have USOIL, and this is the weekly time frame. First things first, we want to know the weekly on the trend on the weekly time frame. What is the trend? The trend is in a down trend. However, the immediate trend is up. Let me just draw this trend line. This one was crossed, so the major trend line was crossed, retested, and now it is going up. So we have another trend line, I think from here. Yes, so this one was crossed and retested, so it is irrelevant. So we have another trend line from here. Yes, from here. Okay, I always want to draw my trend lines from the week to the week, not from the body closure. I used to draw it from the body closure, but hey guys, what I saw with that, I promised myself never to draw my trend lines again. So now the trend lines, then we have another one here guys. Why are they doing these things to me? Have another one there. Well, I think yes, I think this is now the one that we should use. So I always want to draw my trend lines from the body, from the week to the week, not from the body closure. Okay, so someone will ask, why have I ignored this one and also this one? The rules of the trend line said that you connect the first 2 points, the first immediate 2 points, and then you stretch out to the extreme end. So if you're to connect the first 2 points, you're going to get the first one like this. This one is not a trend line, guys. This one is not a trend. Yes, they are first 2 points, but this one is so steep. It is going to stop you out anytime. So the real trend line would be these first 2 points, this point and this one. However, the moment the point is crossed, then that trend line becomes invalid. Why? You see, it was crossed here, made crossed, and then you said, oh, now the trend line has been broken, so we are going up. And then it gave you a bearish candle, then you said, okay, it is retesting, now we are going up. You need to go up. Why? Because this was just a fake out. This trend line was violated from here. You see, even when it came here, it was violated. So this one does not work. So that one you remove. Then there is this one here. There is this one here. So this one is supposed to be touching here like this. It is the same case. And why don't we just ignore it and use the upper one? Why don't we just ignore it and use the upper one? Because we have to connect the first 2 points. If the first 2 points are there, we don't connect. So now if we are to use the upper one, that means we're going to skip this one here. That's why you see that instead of starting from there, you just start from here. There's a point here, there's a clear point here. Now after connecting those two, now price has come to this point here, and look where it has come is where we have the supply zone. The supply zone. So now supply zone on the weekly, and also we have support and resistance in that area. No, yes, no, here, yes, we have this was okay. Support was broken, yes, okay. Here it was used as resistance. Support broke, came back, broke again, used that support, went down. It has come back here, it came back and used this as support, went down. So it has come back again to the same level, but this time we have even here it was used, but this time we have a supply zone in that area. We have a trend line, and this is the third touch of the trend line. And people who trade trend lines, you know that the third touch of the trend line always does what? Always does the magic. So now what is happening is the supply zone was taken out, price came here, tested this area, and now it has gone up, giving us a demand zone in this area. So price is testing this area. So what are we going to, how are we going to be trading this? Good. Now that that one is out, let me just remove this line here. I told you you can simply mark the opening price and the closing price of the previous week. Me, I don't need to mark them because I can easily see where those candles start, but it is better you mark them such that you can track and you got a lower time frame. So the weekly is telling us we're in the downtrend. However, the immediate trend is an uptrend, and we have reached an area of the third touch on the trend line. We have reached an area of support and resistance. This is resistance now, and then we have supply zone. Okay. So most of the conferences we have on the weekly are telling us that we are likely to go down. Good. And when we are going down, where are we heading? We have a supply zone here, a demand zone. Okay, so now when we come to the daily, what do we see on the daily? We are still in that area of the weekly supply zone on the daily, still on that trend line. However, when we come to the immediate price action, you see that this is where the week closed, previous week closed, and then this is where it opened from here, went down, collected some orders, then it went up to here. That's where it closed. So do we see any significant area? No. This was the demand zone. It was tested, so we don't see any significant area apart from what we see up here. So we shall drop down to lower time frames again. So now when we come on the 4 hour, we have a trend line here that is taking us up. That one, it's still the same thing. Even if I draw it from here, we shall get the same thing. So one is just enough. So we have a trend line on the 4 hour that is taking us to the upside. And where is it leading us to? This supply zone. I did the supply zone on, I think, on the hourly, so we shall proceed, don't worry. So remember, we have a supply zone here, big supply zone, the weekly, and then we have a daily, a 4 hour. This is not a 4 hour supply zone, I think it is, this is a 3 hour supply zone, but I think I drew it on the on the 2 hours. You see this huge move to the downside. This is rally base drop. That is a supply zone. So now price is heading back to that area, and this trend line is still guiding us back to that area. So how are we entering this? How are we taking advantage of this trade? In the 1 hour, it is even more clear. This is a Marabozu candle. Marabozu candle. I think, guys, you know about those candlesticks. Marabozu candle is a candle without wicks. That means it shows very high momentum in that direction. So this is a Marabozu candle, and this is a trend line leading us to the upside. So what is happening is, what we expect to happen is, there's this trend line from the weekly. This is a weekly supply zone. This is a 1 hour supply zone, and there's a Marabozu candle there. So it's sign that we are going down a high. So what would we want is, this is where the price closed, and this is the weekly closure. So we would want price to open, and then it is going to go up, or it goes up first, test this supply zone, probably even this trend line here, and then looks down. However, I won't be in a hurry to sell. Being a weekly time frame, you don't just expect price to tap and then it drops. I want to be in a hurry to sell. Since we have a trend line, this one, and draw it from here. Since we have this trend line here that is leading us to the upside, I would wait for this trend line to be broken. Guys, mark my words very well. I would wait for this trend line to be broken. Remember, we agreed we are trading with confirmations, because we have discovered what this price action is doing is that we are always, okay, not always, we have been right on many occasions. Our direction has been right, but we have been always stopped out, and then the trade heads out in our direction. So what you're going to be doing is, we are going to be entering with confirmations. So we shall wait for this price action to come, because you see, yes, we have a good demand supply zone here, but then we have a weekly supply zone, and also a weekly trend line. So price might want to test this trend line and also test the supply zone before it decides to drop. So for me, the right thing to do here is, we shall remain bullish until this trend line is taken out. Let me even change the color of this trend line. Let me mark it red. So this is the trend line that has to be taken out in order for us to be bearish. So we shall let price play from upside here, and then until this trend line is taken out. If it is not taken out and we take out this supply zone, and then we shall look for the demand zone that was responsible for breaking the supply zone, and then we continue buying, respecting this trend line to the upside. For now, US oil, we are waiting for the cross of this trend line, and then we shall start selling. When we cross this trend line and come down, we just look for supply zone responsible for the breaking of this trend line, and then we shall use it to sell to the downside. I hope, guys, I'm clear on US oil. US oil, we are waiting. Either we tap into here, come and break, and then we use the supply zone there to sell down, or we continue, break the supply zone, and we use the demand zone that has broken the supply zone to buy. So going into next week, that is what we are waiting on US oil. Right now, if I were you, I wouldn't try to do anything with US oil, because it is at a critical zone. Why do I say so? It is in the middle of nowhere. You don't know whether to buy, whether to sell. We have, yes, a clear supply zone here. There's no demand zone around here, but up here we have the weekly supply zone, and we also have a weekly trend line. So chances of going down are around 70%. Going up, we are at 35%. So, but you know, price action, it can either do anything. So what do? we wait, sit on our hands and be patient, monitor how price action is moving. If it gives us a go ahead, we go ahead and enter. Okay guys, so that is US oil. Even on the 4-hour, we are still on the same thing, still going to the upside. So let's go reach there and see what will happen. Good. So that is US oil for you. So we shall go straight to another pair. Euro USD. I saw something on Euro USD. Okay, so Euro USD, we shall go to the weekly time frame. What is the trend on the weekly time frame? Do you have a weekly trend line on Euro USD? It's not there. It's not there because the one that is there was broken and retested. It is not there. It is not there. It is not there. Can I use this one? Broken and retested. Broken and retested. Put it here. Nope. Okay, so this one, good. I think that one makes a lot of sense. That one makes more sense. Guys, what do you think? I think this one makes more sense. We equally have 3 touches on that one. Let me put back to white. We have 3 touches on that one. Touches, 2 touches, but it's very far. This one is very far. It's very far. This one was retested, broken and retested. So guys, the trend line is far. We cannot, it is not one that we can use. It is very far, but simply trying to tell us that we are still in a down trend despite the immediate trend being an uptrend. Okay, so finally I got one. So this is the first touch. So that is the first touch, and this one looks like the second touch of the trend line. But this is not something I would do, because I would want, in order for me to consider this as a second touch, yes, I know it touched and now it went down, but I would want to see something like touch and come around here. But now this one, okay, this one, no, I'll not trust it. So okay, so we go to the weekly time frame, mark the low and the opening and closing price of the candle. This was a doji, so what you do, just stretch it and then mark like they have marked. A doji, I normally don't want these dojis because they are difficult to mark. So we are on the weekly supply zone. This is a supply zone on the weekly. Let me stretch it. You see, a drop, base, drop, and then there's liquidity here which was already taken out, and now we are in the weekly supply zone. Guys, we are in the weekly supply zone. So now what has happened is we have created an indecision candle there. An indecision simply means we were going up, but now we don't know what we want to do. Why? Because the buyers came in, equally the sellers came in, so they are in an area of equilibrium, which leads to a consolidation. So after marking that, we go to the daily to see if there is anything we can see. Is there anything on a daily that we can see? No, we cannot see anything on the daily. So what we do, we look for areas of demand and supply. You can see a demand zone down here on the daily, and then up there, no, this one ignore it, you see it is on the 4 hour. That's where I marked it from. So we have a demand zone on the daily, and also at the same place as support and resistance. So this is resistance. It was broken, used as support, and price went up. So we expect that if price comes back here, it might buy. Good. So now on the okay, that is what we see on the daily. So if we proceed on the 4 hour, now this is where we have some details. This is our daily demand zone. Now on the 4 hour, you see price made a drop, base drop, giving us a supply zone up here. Good supply zone. So and price where it is currently looks like it wants to come and test this area, probably drop down. Obviously when it comes here, we are going to go to the 15-minute time frame, look for confirmation, and then we drop it down. That is what we're thinking on Euro USD. That is 4 hour. However, if we proceed to the 1 hour, is there anything we see significant? We still have that zone. In the 1 hour, we even have support, resistance, support which is going to turn into resistance here, and then we have demand and supply. This is support, broken, now it will come into resistance. We have demand and supply. So definitely if price comes up here, we are selling from this area, but only with the confirmation from the 15 minutes time frame. So we stop here, sell up to down here, and probably we can buy again. Okay guys, so this is Euro USD. So Euro USD, we are waiting if it can come and tap up here before it can drop down. So we shall be waiting. So the 1 hour, we'll be willing more to sell on the 1 hour than to buy. There's a lot of liquidity here. You see this liquidity here that needs to be taken out. So probably we are buying, we are selling from here, and then we shall buy later. Do we have a trend line on the 1 hour? On the 4 hour? Have one here, there. Yes, we have one there. So we shall be looking for sales on Euro USD. That is if price opens, taps around here, the third touch of the trend line, the support and resistance, and also supply zone. 3 confluences, guys. 3 confluences. That means we are selling from here. But that doesn't mean that price cannot break this area. It can decide to break this area. If it breaks and goes above this trend line, it is okay. We shall look for demand zone that is responsible for breaking here, just like on USOIL, and then we shall be buying to the next supply zone up there. However, the most probable chances are we are going to tap here, then sell to the downside, or if we decide to come back before going up, it is okay. We shall reach the daily demand zone, look for confirmation. Guys, this time we are with this price action. We shall come down here, look for confirmations, and then we send it up. This time we are not setting sell limits or buy limits, because price tends to take us out and then it goes. When it comes here, draw a trend line on the 15 hour or 15 minutes or 1 hour, look for confirmation, and then take it to the upside. When it comes here, go to the 15 minutes, draw our trend lines, look for confirmation and supply zones, drop to the downside. So that is Euro USD. We are expecting to sell with 70% bearish, 30% bullish. So we shall be waiting for what price action is going to be doing coming into the next week, and starting tomorrow. So that is Euro USD. We're waiting for more sales than buys. However, we wait for confirmation. Guys, this time we're taking down this price action. There is no cheating. Be patient. Wait for the right time to execute, probably with the right confirmations. Good. So we proceed. GBPUSD. GBPUSD, go to the weekly time frame. Do we have a weekly trend line? Guys, this time we are banning this price action. There is no stealing us. No, we don't have this. We don't have a weekly trend line. However, as like the situation is, we are on a supply zone, like it is on Euro USD. We're on a supply zone, testing this supply zone. Do you have a trend line that goes up? No, we don't have a trend line that is going up. So what do we do? Mark the opening price and the closing price of the last week's candle, like I marked like that. So we drop down to the daily. What do you see on the daily? On the daily, guys, and this is why it becomes interesting. You see, on the Euro USD, we did not tap the daily demand zone, but on the GBPUSD, we tapped the demand zone, and see what happened, guys. See what happened. Manipulation. Price went, took us out. With a few pips, I think these are around 10 pips, and then it started going up. Tapped the demand zone, so the demand zone was right. Tapped it, took us out, and then it started going up, and it moved around 200 pips. Let me see. No, guys, 93 pips. It moved around 93 pips after taking us out, and it went up. So what is happening is, we agreed to use confirmation entries. We set our zone, and then we use confirmation entries. Simple. So now this demand zone was not taken out. If it had been taken out, we would be looking for long-term sales on this supply zone. However, it was not. So we want it to be taken out. Price comes to retrace around here, and then we sell. However, we don't know what price action will do. So we come to the 4-hour. Come to the 4-hour. 4-hour, there's a clear, like just it is on Euro USD, there's a clear sell zone here. This is a supply zone. This is drop, base, drop, supply zone. Support turns into resistance. This is support. Broken, it will turn into resistance, and that is the 4-hour. Do we have a trend line on the 4-hour? Yes, I can see one. This one here, but it is one that is steep. We have the trend line there. So we have liquidity that we swept. Even here we have liquidity. So now, what am I thinking for this price action, guys? What I see is price might come to test this area, and then go and test the trend line for the third touch, supply zone, support and resistance, and then sell. That is what I'm thinking. However, if it breaks, we proceed up. Remember, confirmation entries, guys. Confirmation entries. We shall rather miss the trade, but enter with confirmation. So when I drop to the 1-hour, what do we see? What do we see? We still have the same supply zone, and this is what I was telling you guys on what is it called, on our confirmation entries. So if you were to buy this yesterday, last week, you were supposed to put that trend line there like that, and let price do all it is rubbish it wants to do. Come down here. As it comes up, do not panic and enter from here, because you'll be like, oh no, price has left me. You enter, you'll be like, price has left me, it has went up to my zone, it is going. You enter, gives you around 40 pips, and then it comes back and stops you, and then it heads back. So what we do is price comes down, taps our zone, gives us a high. I know some people would try to use this as a high, this one as a high, and then price will come. This is a high, a trend line. It drops here, then breaks out. As it breaks out, and say, oh, that is good. So let's wait for a retest. Retest here gives you an entry, and then you enter from here. Put your stop losses below again here, below here, and then price will come, stop you out, still go to the right direction. So what is going to happen is, you are going to mark your high as this one. This will be your high, or this one, either way, but I think you'll use that one. So price will drop down, you mark that, it will come back again, test, then drop down. So as long as price action is still down here, we are not interested in it. So the right entry would be after it has crossed this trend line up here, and then it comes back to retest the trend line, but you don't enter. When it comes back, it's going to give you a demand zone, the one I've marked here. Gives you a demand zone, and then it goes up. So you wait for it to come back to this demand zone, and this is why people say this is a head and shoulder. Remember, this is a low, this is a high, this is a low, this is a higher high. So this is like a QM, low, lower low, high, higher high. So we wait for price to come to the demand zone that broke this supply zone and the trend line as well. So we enter from here, buy from here, and then proceed all the way to the next supply zone. That is what I'm thinking. So last week you did not have an entry because you're waiting for confirmation. However, if you're someone who is aggressive, you entered on this candle closure here, bought, got some pips, but you're targeting this supply zone here. It would be your target. So the risk to reward will not be that good, so it will be 1:1, which I would not recommend. Price went up, now it is coming, so we expect price action to come and tap us in, and then we shoot to the upside. However, if it doesn't want to tap us in, we shall wait for it at here, and then we sell it back down. Either way, GBPUSD, EURUSD, that is what we are hoping. So for EURUSD, we might first sell before we buy. For GBPUSD, we might first buy before we sell. That's what you're looking. Remember, guys, remember, confirmation is the key. Confirmation is the key. Okay, so now that is it. We have a demand zone here, clear, rally, base, rally, and also it is coming to the shoulder. People who trade head and shoulders, this is a shoulder, it is coming to the shoulder. Also, it is a QM pattern, that is low, high, lower low, higher high, QM buy. You're going to buy from here and go to the upside. So that is GBP USD. Always try to use confirmation entries. Okay guys, the video is getting too long. I don't want it to get long. Let me quickly tap on the this one. I haven't seen anything. I think it is NZDUSD, yes, and AUDUSD. No, I'm just going to tap on NZDUSD alone. Okay guys, so now we have NZDUSD on the chart, and this is the weekly time frame. Let me just remove this. Guys. Let me remove. Okay, this one I'm not going to remove. Okay, this is the last pair I'm going to touch. I had many pairs to show you, but no. Let me just tap this one. That's because the video is already 30 minutes. I don't want it to be longer than that. Okay, so what do we have here? We have NZDUSD, and the same analysis I do on NZDUSD is the same. You should reflect on AUDUSD. They always move alike. So what do we have in NZDUSD? We have the weekly time frame. Do we have a trend line that is taking us down? No, we don't have any on the weekly time frame. Good. So what do we have? Our price was going up, retraced, went up, and now it is retracing, and this is an evening star candlestick pattern. It is on the weekly time frame. However, it is happening in the middle of nowhere. We would prefer if it is happening at a supply zone or at a demand zone. So it is happening in the middle of nowhere, but this is a beautiful candlestick pattern I always like, but I always like it if this candle goes beyond this, the opening price of this candle. So okay, what do we see? We mark the opening price and closing price. We also have a demand zone on the weekly here, but I'm just marking it because we have to mark everything that we notice. So opening price, closing price, good. So we go down to the daily. First things first, do we have any trend lines to suggest that we are going somewhere? No, we don't have any trend lines on the daily. Okay, so what else do we have? We are already on the daily supply demand zone. So we have a demand zone here. This is the one that we marked on the weekly, but it looks like it was retested. However, if you draw it there like that, it was not tested. There's liquidity there, there's liquidity here. So this is the trend line liquidity. And we have another demand zone here. Price is in our demand zone. Remember, we said we do not just buy immediately because price is there. We shall be using confirmation entries. We want to burn this market price action. So if it breaks here, let me even make it, but if I make it small, no. So if it breaks here, we shall be selling up to this one, and then we shall buy. If it doesn't, then we are going up. However, how are we going up? Good. So now that we have our demand zone and price has tapped it on the daily, we go to the 4-hour, our medium time frame, our entry time frame. So when we come to the 4-hour, we can refine our demand zone to this area here. So this is a clear demand zone. Price has come back, tapped in there. So how do we enter here? We are looking for buys. Do we buy right away? No. We are going to go straight to the 1-hour and wait for confirmation going through the next week. So what are our confirmations going to be? Our confirmations are going to be simple. We shall put a trend line. No, not that one. Good, this one. So we shall put our trend lines there. That is our trend line there. So that is our trend line there, and now this is a low, a high, a lower low, a lower high, and this is an equal low. I'm sure if I put an RSI here, you're going to be seeing some divergence in that area. Yes, this is a low, this is a low, and this is a higher low. Let me draw for you this. You see, this is a lower low, this is a higher low. This low, where is it? Okay, let me draw from here. Good. This is the third touch of the trend line, on the RSI, meaning that we are going up. Oh no, okay, we are not going up, but we are likely to go up. Third touch of the trend line, we are going up. This is a low, this is a higher low, this is a higher low, but look at here. Look at here, guys. This is a low, this is a lower low, this is a lower low. So as price is printing lower lows, price is printing low, lower low, lower low, the RSI is printing high, high, high. So it's printing higher lows. So chances are high that we are going where? We are going to the upside. Chances are high that we are going to the upside. But do we just buy because chances are high we are going to the upside? No, we are not buying. So this is first touch, second touch. We're waiting for the third touch and break of this trend line. As long as this trend line is broken, since we are in the supply, we are in the demand zone, this trend line is broken, I'll be looking to buy at least up to here. Let me see, it is broken from here. I'll be looking to buy for around 40 pips up to there. If there is a supply or is a demand zone down here, and then I'll wait for a retracement to buy to the upside. However, we are waiting for this trend line to be taken out. If it is not taken out, we are not doing anything. This trend line has been holding for how long? Started from here for 1 day and 14 hours. That is a full day. So we shall be waiting for this trend line to break, and then we can look for buying options. If it does not break, we are waiting. We are waiting if it does not break. Yes. Okay, same thing is on AUD/USD. So guys, this video has gone too long where I don't want it to go. I would have shown you different pairs, but now the video has become too long, so I will stop there. So guys, that has been the weekly analysis. For AUD/USD, we are looking to buy. However, if it does not buy and it breaks the demand zone, breaking also this area here, that means we have changed the trend, and we have not changed, we are proceeding with the trend to the downside. So we shall just look, if it breaks here, we shall look out for the area that has broken the demand, the supply zone that has broken this demand, and we shall be looking to sales as long as it is still below this daily downward trend line. That is all, guys. If you've learned something from the video, kindly like the video. If you have not learned something, you can go through it slowly by slowly and see what you can get out of it. Guys, the video is getting long and I don't want to proceed any further. Also, kindly subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed, and if you have anything you'd want me to do a video about, kindly put it in the comment section. I always reply and read all comments. That is all for today, guys. The video is already 40 minutes. I'm going to end there. Bye.